I was 19 when I met Ryan. He was 28, charming, confident, with a quiet strength that drew me in before I even realized what was happening. I thought it was love, real, deep, grown-up love. And maybe it was, at first. We moved fast, too fast. Within a few months, I left my dorm and moved in with him. He had a good job, stability, everything I thought I needed. He said I brought life back into his home. I said he made me feel safe. We needed each other. At least, I did. A year later, Ryan got custody of his 6-year-old niece, Layla. Her mother, Ryan's sister, had died of an overdose. Layla's father had left the family long ago. Ryan didn't even ask. He just told me. "We're going to raise her together," he said. I was 20 years old. I barely knew how to take care of myself, but I loved Ryan and wasn't about to abandon a child who had just lost everything. So I agreed. I became the mother she never had. 12 years have passed. In those 12 years, I lost a lot. My early 20s disappeared into lunchboxes, parent-teacher conferences, and sitting at home while Ryan was at work. I didn't care. I loved Layla like my own daughter. I braided her hair, stayed up nights helping with school projects, sat in hospital rooms when she had a fever. She called me Mom. She meant it. And Ryan? He worked, he traveled, he changed. At first it was little things, less affection, missed dinners, the way he looked at his phone, clenching his jaw. I blamed stress, work, the burden of being the breadwinner. But I knew the truth. One night I found a receipt for a necklace, an expensive one. He didn't give it to me. I waited, days, weeks, nothing, and I didn't ask. I didn't want to hear the answer. Instead, I watched. I paid attention. I noticed how his eyes lit up when Layla walked into the room. She was already 18. She was beautiful, confident, independent. One night I caught them in the kitchen. They were laughing, whispering. His hand lingered too long on her shoulder. Something inside me broke. I told myself it was my imagination, that I was paranoid, that Layla would never, that Ryan couldn't. But I couldn't sleep. Something deep down told me that the truth was already there. I just hadn't looked it in the eye yet. And I started checking. Layla started locking her phone, nothing unusual for a teenager. But when I walked past her room, I noticed her closing her laptop or switching screens. It was familiar. I had seen the same nervous hand movement in Ryan a few years ago when I found out he was texting his ex. Only this time, it was worse. One afternoon, when they were both out, I checked our shared computer. In the browser history, I found something that made my stomach twist. Can an 18-year-old girl legally date a 40-year-old man? Signs that your uncle is romantically in love with you. Are relationships with a big age gap taboo or normal? My throat went dry. I slammed the laptop shut and just sat on the couch, shaking for an hour. But I still didn't say anything. How could I? How could I look at the child I had raised, at the man I had built a life with, and accuse them of this? I couldn't, not yet. So I waited again. I needed proof, not suspicions, not feelings, the real, irrefutable truth. A week later, I got it. I came home from work early. Ryan was supposed to be away. Layla said she was at a friend's house. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Then I heard it. Laughter. Her laughter. It was coming from the bedroom. Our bedroom. The door was ajar, and there they were. Layla, in my robe. Ryan, shirtless, sitting on the edge of the bed, stroking her back as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just turned around and left. I drove for hours. No destination, no music, just the hum of the car and my heart beating in my ears. I stayed at a friend's house that night. I didn't answer my phone. I didn't tell anyone what I had seen. The next morning, I went back. They were there. Ryan looked ashamed, or maybe just caught. Layla tried to say something. I didn't let her. I looked at her, the girl I had raised, comforted when she had nightmares, taught to ride a bike, wiped the tears from her face, and all I could say was, "You were my daughter." She sobbed. Ryan reached out to me. It just happened. We didn't plan it. I laughed, for the first time in days. You think that makes it okay? He tried to wriggle out of it. Said they didn't do anything until she was of age, as if that erased everything. I left, this time for good. My friends were shocked. His family called me cruel. They said I abandoned him and Layla during a difficult time. My parents didn't know what to say. They loved Layla too. They couldn't understand. But I wasn't going to hide. I told the truth. To everyone who asked. I didn't scream. I didn't post angry videos or burn photos. I just talked. And the more I talked, the more I realized how many people had stories like mine. Stories they were ashamed to share. So I started writing, keeping a journal, talking. I went to therapy. Real therapy. Not family counseling to save what was already dead. I recovered, slowly. A year later, I saw them at the grocery store. She was holding his hand. They looked normal. Not happy, not unhappy, just existing. He turned away when he saw me. She stared at me. I held her gaze. And for a moment, I saw something in her eyes. Not regret, not guilt, emptiness. I walked away. I don't need to close this chapter. I don't need revenge. I just needed to survive. And I did. 6 months after that encounter at the grocery store, I received a message. It was from Layla. No greeting, no apology, just, "Can we talk? Just once?" I stared at the message for a long time. Not because I was tempted by the idea, but because I realized one thing. I felt nothing. No anger, no broken heart, just silence. A calmness I hadn't felt in years. I didn't reply. There was nothing to say. People asked me how I was able to move on. How could you forgive them? How could you build a new life after such betrayal? The truth? I didn't forgive them. I forgave myself for being blind, for loving too much, for sacrificing myself to be a pillar of support for someone else. I started over, literally. I moved to another city. I found a job at a small publishing house. I started writing essays, anonymous ones at first, stories about betrayal, about grief, about quiet rage, about survival. People read them. They wrote back. They said things like, "I thought I was the only one. You put my pain into words." One woman told me that her husband had left her for her underage stepdaughter. Another said her sister had married her ex and wanted her to be her bridesmaid. I realized that pain has many faces. But silence is always the same. So I stopped being silent. 2 years later, I published a book. This is not a story of revenge. This is not a scandalous expose. It is a collection of voices. Mine, theirs, yours. People who were betrayed and told to get over it. People who were shamed for speaking out. People who quietly and stubbornly rebuilt their lives. The book was a success, more than I expected. And then, one evening, I received another message from Ryan. "I read your book. I hope you're doing well." That was it. I didn't reply. Because I'm fine. I'm whole. And nothing he could say would change that. Of course, I still have moments, nights when I wake up looking for someone who isn't there. Songs that take me back to trips we once took. Photos I forgot to delete of a girl who thought she had a family. But those moments can't change who I've become. I no longer define myself by what I've lost. I define myself by what I've survived. By what I've built from the ashes of that betrayal. So if you're listening to this and wondering how you're going to go on, how you're going to feel normal again, let me tell you this. You can. Not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But one day you'll wake up and realize that the person who broke you no longer controls you. You'll laugh at something silly. You'll plan a trip without asking for permission. You'll buy a cake just because. You'll decorate your house the way you want. And you'll be okay. You'll feel like it's yours. Because it is. Your life, your space, your peace. They can't take that away from you. Not anymore. I don't know where Ryan and Layla are now. Together? Maybe. Broken up? Probably. It doesn't matter. Their story ended when mine began. I no longer carry their burden. I carry my own, and it's lighter than I ever could have imagined.